Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Sigourney Keota football fans, Steve Shuttler Media is teaming up with Clint Dye of Tag Team Photography to bring you coverage of Sigourney Keota football this fall. You've seen Clint's fantastic photos of Sigourney Keota football over the last few years. And now Clint is bringing those talents to be showcased on Steve Shuttler Media. We're going to have pictures and action shots of each and every game, an in-depth article, and a video highlight of the game as well. You won't miss a thing with Sigourney Keota football coverage right here this year on Steve Shuttler Media. The Watch Your Opera House in Watch Your, Iowa invites you to a night of golden oldies from the 50s to the 80s with jukebox hits from the band Hideaway Honey. This Central Iowa band performs top classic hits from such artists as Journey, Heart, Tanya Tucker, Shania Twain, The Judds, and many more. Tickets are just $10 and can be purchased at watchyyouroperahouse.org or get them at the door. It's the band Hideaway Honey this Saturday, September 28th at 7 p.m. at the Watch Your Opera House. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Of course, I am Never Wrong Nick Bull. Joining me is my tag team partner. We're co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Network. Along for another ride, another episode here of the Card Subject to Change is my good buddy, tag team partner, the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
Man, I am feeling really good. I've been looking forward to this episode for a while, since this gentleman reached out to me. I've watched some of his matches online. He is quite the unique character, and I'm anxious to hear his story. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. He is known as the Barker of the Bazaar. I'm going to bring him in right now. Please welcome our guest, Rico Wildley. Rico, how are you today?
Doing amazing. Thank you so much for finally having me on your podcast. I've been looking forward to this for months, and I am so blessed to be gracing your screens today. So thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. I know we've been talking for a couple of months, and we were backed up a bit, so excited to have you on and hear your story. And I know Nick is itching to ask the question he asks everybody, so I'm going to let him start the show. Nick.
Rika, I ask everybody the same question. That's a first-time guest.
Go for it.
Why professional wrestling? What is it for you that has sucked you into this thing that we love as pro wrestling? What was it that got you hooked, or what is it that got you into pro wrestling?
Well, just like anyone that grows over time, I got drew in when I was 8 years old. Just like any other kid, the characters and just the storylines and things. And that's what really drew me in initially. But what has kept me involved all of these years is there's not many businesses, or there's not many sports even. 99% of what we call sports, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, whatever, is all about being the best, being the top guy. And just as wrestling is that, in all honesty, it's a business of paying it forward. In basketball, you're out for number one. You're out for your team and yourself to be the best you can be and make yourself as big as possible. But in wrestling, the only thing that you are meant to do is build yourself up big enough so when the next person comes along and beats you for whatever belt or title or prestige of character, that you pay it forward and it means something. No one is meant to do this forever. No one is meant to hold that place forever. It is all about a business of paying it forward, and that is what has drew me and kept me involved all these years. Is I want to be able to inspire and push others to do what I'm doing now. You know,
That is the one of the best answers I think we've heard, Nick. Am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got a different reason. And that's a real good reason. I mean, when you say pay it forward like you do, and it kind of honors the time-honored tradition of what what wrestling or wrestlers have done before you.
That's right, man. And that's so kind of. I know this question's going to come up, but that's kind of the whole basis of me doing the carnival gimmick. That's where wrestling started. It was an attraction. It was a sideshow attraction. The entertainment value that we know now as professional sports entertainment wrestling, the quote unquote predetermined outcomes and things like that, all of that started at the carnival.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my little way of honoring that and paying it back to where it originated. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Absolutely. I love that. So talk about, you got into the business. Who are your influences? Obviously there's got to be some unique influences for you, but who did you gravitate towards when you first started watching and now as you are actually in the ring?
well, when I started watching, it was around 95, 96 era, just as the Attitude was starting to come out and do its thing, and then the Monday Night Wars and all that good stuff. But initially, it was The Rock and Jeff Hardy and Eddie Guerrero. I was one of the flip-floppers. I used to watch a little WCW, a little WWE, you know what I mean? Like back and forth, or WWF at the time.
Sure.
I love the lucha style because I'm a small guy. I'm not really that big of a man. And it just, if they can do it, I can do it. That's the inspiration. They inspire smaller guys like myself to do that lucha style. Then I seen Jeff Hardy with his style doing what he does with the crazy acrobatic moves and things. And The Rock with his overall charisma, just the gift of gab, just being able to just ramble and never slack up. Always on top of his game when it comes to cut downs and, making somebody have to stay on their toes as far as the promo goes. That is what initially drew me to professional wrestling and got me involved to where I started watching weekly and keeping up with story and stuff like that. And it just never went away.
You bring up a guy like The Rock, who is just undeniable, not only, as an entertainer, but what he has done on the microphone in the business. You kind of draw from that since you're the barker of the bazaar. You got to be good with words. You got to be able to connect with the crowd. You got to kind of be loud and have this look at me attitude. And the Rock definitely was that.
That's very true. See, before I got into the in-ring perspective of professional wrestling, I was doing it for like 2 years prior to this. I've been in altogether almost 6 years. I've been in pro wrestling in-ring stuff for about 4, but for 2 years prior, I was doing the Ricka character online, just cutting promos against other people. We were doing promo matches. Okay, so they would have a character, I would have a character, and we would just basically talk trash about each other and have a couple people judge the match, and whoever talked the better trash won, whatever. So by the time I actually got in the ring, the part of learning how to promo, feeling comfortable in front of the screen, talking, being able to just think on your toes and not fumble over your words and really involve your character with them through visual and verbal things was already there. I'd already built that. I'd already got comfortable doing that, which is, I know, as I've learned over time, is a lot of people's hardest thing to do as far as wrestling. Anybody can learn how to fall down, but learning how to feel comfortable in your gimmick 100% to where if you are 100% behind it and you believe it, you leave the fans no choice, not to. Getting comfortable in front of the mic or on the mic, in front of the screen, in front of the fans to where you don't end up freezing up. That's one of the biggest hurdles in professional wrestling.
Absolutely. You talk about starting off doing promos online. Talk about the evolution and how Ricka came into being.
Well, Okay, so I've always been into the kind of clown-ish vibe, just the lights, the colorful thing, but I never really even saw myself pursuing, being able to actually go and professionally wrestle, let alone being able to pursue a gimmick such as what I'm doing now. But over time, I initially wanted to do my actual middle name is Lee. So I was going to do Ricka the Wild Card Lee. But Ricka come from Ricochet, which is my D&D character I've had since I was like 14. So, okay, Ricka come from that. And I was going to be Ricka the Wild Card Lee, but I got to do, before I started actually building on the character, I got to doing some searching online and, gimmicks and what's been done and what hasn't. And there's about a bazillion wild cards. Every other company has a wild card. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, that's been done 1,000 times over. Scratch that. And it just ended up becoming Ricka Wild Lee. That's how that happened.
What? We're here with Ricka Wild Lee on the Card Subject to Change podcast. Ricka, what are the fans' first reaction when they have never seen you before and you come out, you're doing your thing? What is their reaction to you?
It's funny you asked that, because I'm one of those kind of people that I think in depth. I'm a very, I think of every angle when it comes to building my connection with the crowd. Okay. Such as when, most people, when they get introduced, they're from whatever town they want to be from, this, that, and the other. Sure. Me, I'm from your town, because that's what a carnival does. It goes from town to town to town to town to town. But so Ricka Wild Lee is always from your town, which before I even step through the curtain, they may never see me, have never seen me before. They don't know the lights. They don't know the mask. They don't know anything. But immediately when they go from your town, Ricka Wild Lee, they're already on the hook, because now they're going, wait a minute, he's from here. Do I know him?
We don't know this guy, do we?
Right. And I step through the curtain and I've got the lights and I've got the mask. And now they're just as much intrigued with that, because they're looking at my earrings. They're looking at my long hair. They're looking at my walk. They're going, wait a minute, is this a guy that works for Circle K? Did I go to school with this dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. And I've already got him on the hook before I even get in the ring. You know what I mean? And that's the draw. They don't know what to think of the character at first, because it does come off kind of odd, but that is what wrestling is about. Something that stands out amongst the crowd. And that is why I have built what I've built and made the character that I've made, and pursued doing that, even though my coach initially told me it would never get over and people would not enjoy it. And I'm like, hey, for each their own, man. How can you say that before I even give it a chance?
Right. And especially wrestling, where so many different odd, eye-catching things have come along, and the people have clamped onto it. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't know until you try. So how long did it take for your character, for Ricka, to get to where Ricka wanted to be with the character?
I'm still not there.
Oh, I like that answer.
I'm growing every day, man. I'm learning something new every day. I'm taking bits and pieces from every single person I talk to. I'm going to learn something from you guys tonight. It's all a experience, and to be honest, until the day you decide to hang up your boots, you're still never done growing. The mind never rests when it comes to building a gimmick or building a, following or whatever the case may be in the wrestling business. The mind never sleeps, and you never quit learning. And if you ever get to a point to where you think you know it all, then you might as well quit.
Right.
Because there's always somebody to teach you something somewhere. Always.